Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Javier in the Air, Season 6. That's right, Season 6. This is episode 2, so we're at the end of January. I just want to welcome those who have never been here before. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. Those who have been here before, welcome back. The last night, a small clandestine group got together to have our black beer tasting party. Turned out to be really fantastic. Some fantastic beers. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 submissions with only 6 people here, so you know it was good. Some of them were pretty high ABV. Some of them were average. Um, but all but one were really, really good. So it was a tough one to call, but there was a winner overall. And it was really good. Plus, I did have something good that I'll show you here on the show that I made for the show. I mean, for the tasting. Okay, so it's been really cold and miserable, but I managed to get out a couple of days better than the week before. So let's go ahead and go right into our um, Trash in the Hood. Dark Frog Social Media presents Trash in the Hood, weeks 128 and 129. Welcome, everybody. So, for week 128, because of the snow that we had and the supreme extreme cold, I only got about 1 day. I only got 1 day. But as you see here, we got about 40 cigarette butts, a totally destroyed Game Boy in the middle left there, some kind of weird plastic thing, bottom left. Bunch of water bottles and plastic and receipts. It'd been a while since I've been out there because it's been so cold, so this made it a little bit more extreme to get through there. Plus, large pieces of plastic cardboard that I got underneath. So overall, it was a pretty good day. So for week 129, this is day 3. So as you see there, we got a cigarette box and some cigarette butts as normal, and beverage cans and water bottles and napkins and crushed beer cans and food wrappers. Everything was pretty normal wise. And then there's something blue in the dead center there. I wasn't sure what that was. Looks like it may belong to a breaker switch, but not exactly sure. And then candy wrappers, and then I think the lawn crews had been out, so there was some weed whacker wire. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. And so, pretty normal for a day 3. And then day 4, really pushed myself and went out pretty far, and I got some weird things here. So you got a automotive's rag at the top middle there, along with a purple cone right next to it, a bunch of water, beverage containers, candy wrappers, one of those blue bottles that I get normally on a Saturdays, a vape cartridge, and just a bunch of overall garbage on there, and some bigger pieces. But it's the automotive rag that I usually find a couple of at least once a week these days, and so it's really interesting that they're losing them left and right out there. I don't know what's going out on the streets when they lose them, but there you have it. And then this was interesting. On the same day as that, you see in the top middle right a little ratchet set size little ratchet that I find a lot of these along the road, especially along Hatch. Not, I guess the construction crews are going by there, but right where my finger is pointing, and yes, that's my finger. This is a close up, so it looks kind of odd. Was a little tiny bullet. This is a casing of a bullet. I don't know the size. I couldn't read the size on there. I'm not familiar with ammunition, so I don't know what it was, but it was very interesting to us that we actually found one. So I was just saying earlier, I didn't get out much for week 128. I didn't get out at all for the original week 128, which is why I decided to redo 128 because it wasn't fair to myself to actually have a week where I didn't have anything. So I managed to get out 1 day, but the cold was just ridiculous here in this area. And I say ridiculous, and I know it's not ridiculous for people that live in the north or the Midwest or anything like that compared to what you guys are having. Um, we're just not as prepared. Actually, we were pretty good as far as like the roads being cleaned off right away, or being salted or some sort of other material on there that kept them relatively clear of any ice or the brief snow that we had. It didn't stay on the roads, even though it had been cold long enough to stay on. It didn't do it, so that was good. Um, anyway, so 129, I did get a couple of days in. I'm hoping to be able to get in more days next week. Get back to my at least three a day um, that I normally do. I'd like to really move that up for 2025 and see if I can get, on average, start getting four a day. So wish me luck on that. If you are interested in picking up trash in your neighborhood, then go for it. I don't have any, say in the matter. I don't sell kits. I don't do anything. This is a free show, by the way. I am not sponsored by anyone in any way, shape, or form. Um, but if you're interested in picking up trash, I just started doing it, and I used an old HEB bag that I had. For those of you who don't know HEB, the HEB is the large grocery store that has like 95% of the grocery market in Texas. Anyway, picked up an old one that I had that was a not a mesh, but kind of a more of a just a harder plastic than the little thin bags that they normally give out if you don't have any grocery bags at the store. And then started just picking up trash. And then after, I'm using gloves, but then after a couple weeks, I was like, why am I using gloves? I can use a grabber and be safer for myself and not make sure I don't, grab any glass or anything that's going to cut me or anything organic or anything that may transfer something I don't want. So picked up a grabber. So started using a grabber. I'm on grabber number three now after 129 weeks. I have a tendency to grab real tight with it, and it has a tendency to break. So this one's pretty good. I got a heavier duty one. So if you're interested in wanting to do something like that, just go for it. I know it's not nice and it's messy, excuse me, and it's not clean and it's gross and that sort of thing. But hey, look at it this way: when you drive or when you walk, and if you have young children or grandchildren, or you just walk with someone special, or you just walk, wouldn't you rather see something nice overall? Now, when you're the one doing the picking for the most part, you won't see things overall, but it also helps to will also help you improve your eyesight because you'll start looking. It improves your awareness of the world around you. So, in other words, I know a lot of people like to walk with headphones on, and when I walk by myself, I do that as well. But since my head's on a swivel, because I'm always looking for trash, I'm always looking for this, then I always keep an eye out for traffic. So I try to walk against oncoming traffic so I can see the cars. I don't always get to go that way because sometimes I get turned around and I'm just moving here and there, and so I wind up going with traffic, which is I feel a little bit more dangerous when you're walking. But you do what you can, and I walk on the pedestrian section or the biking lanes, avoiding the bikers, of course, and just try to pick up where I can. You'll start noticing as you start doing it, if you start doing it, you'll start noticing that you have an eye for the trash. It calls to you. You see it. I'll see cigarette butts from almost half a block away because that's what I'm looking for. Little flecks of white or orange from the cigarette butts, and you'll start seeing trash when you drive home. Now, is that glorious? No, but it makes you feel better, or at least makes me feel better that I'm picking up something so that when my nieces and nephews, they have children and they're perhaps living in this neighborhood and I'm still able to do it, that it looks nice for them. Because there are some big pieces of trash that I find that are really disgusting. Some people are horrible and they don't know that that we only have one planet right now, and they just throw large chunks of trash out. I am really surprised. Well, and I'm not playing angel or that I'm totally innocent. When I was younger, I've thrown out my share of stuff. Let's be honest, we all have. But some of the stuff they throw out is just ridiculous. A whole bag of food, or food wrappers with some food still in it. Large bags of actual trash, like it was on their car and they forgot to take it to the trash or something and it's flown off and they don't go back and pick it up. I've seen stuff thrown over at backyard fences or over a wall, let's say, for example, Um, broken pottery I've had on here, whole potted plants, Christmas trees, broken hockey nets. List goes on and on. So I mean, it's embarrassing to me as a human to continually see our fellow humans do that, and it's just kind of ridiculous. So anyway, but if you're interested in doing it, that's what you do. It's slow and simple and small, and you can start and do it yourself. And you don't have to do it every day. You go walking, you can do it once a day. I mean, once a week. You can do it once a month. You get together with friends and you just pick up on your street. Start on your, like I said, start on your street, and you can start on other streets as you walk down them. But if you have interest, go ahead and do it. Don't worry about what other people say, because if they're taking the time to belittle you that you're trying to beautify your local streets, then fuck them. And yes, I really use that language here in this podcast. But there you go. That's what I say to that. So, anyway, let's move on to the next one. Let's go to and calm down a little bit. Let's go to our Zen moment. All right, there you have it, our Zen moment for the week, our weeks. Once again, these are AI generated images, so let me know what you think about them. I'm going with a style called General, which is non futuristic, non simplistic, non cartoonish, just to see what I would get. If you like that, let me know. I'm going to try to switch it up for next time and see if there's a different genre I can go with and see how that looks. As far as putting anything else to it, I don't know. You tell me what you may want to see. Okay, so we have a Spirit Times, but before we do that, I want to show something, one of my personal favorite breads that I found years ago when I was working at Starbucks. Now, they don't sell this bread anymore. It was called a cinnamon chocolate bread, or the cinnamon chocolate loaf, I think is what they called it. And they would cut it into these thick slices. And it was fantastic. Just the right amount of cinnamon, just the right amount of chocolate, and just yummy. So while I was thinking of things to do for the food wise for the tasting that we had last night, I thought to myself, why not try to make that cinnamon chocolate bread because it's just so damn good. And I couldn't get it anymore because Starbucks doesn't sell it. So I searched the internet and I found someone who had apparently spoken to a gentleman who was a chef for Starbucks and had actually come up with this cinnamon chocolate bread. Now, that's the story. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I can't confirm because I can't get a hold of either of those individuals. Regardless, I went ahead and took the recipe and ran with it. Um, no, I don't have a bread mixer, so you have to, when you don't have a bread mixer, you have to do it the old fashioned way, which is you have to hand knead everything. And I think that's where I went wrong. My hands got really tired, so I went with a mixer, using a mixer instead of, so I don't have the paddle of a bread machine. And I got tired hand mixing because that's what you're supposed to do. And so I decided to try it with a mixer. So I may have put too much air into it, but it turned out really, really good. So I want to show you some of the highlights from what I did for that bread. And you take a look at it and see what you think. Tasting of it is just fantastic. But I want you in, since you can taste through the internet, not yet anyway, then you'll just have to savor it by looking at the photos. So let's just take a quick look at that before we move on to the last part of the show, which is the black beer tasting. Okay, so I didn't start taking photos until I was already beginning to do this. So what you do is you cream your butter, like so you try to get it as room temperature as possible, or even softer than that, and you start mixing it in with sugar. So you want to cream it and sugar it, and you get it to a certain consistency. So the recipe also calls for, of course, cocoa, flour. If you're using self-rising flour, then you don't have to add the baking powder or the baking soda. The also calls for cinnamon and some. Actually, that's for the icing. I mean, cinnamon, and you start adding it. You do all the butter and, well, actually, and vanilla. You do all the butter and sugar first, and you cream it all together so that it gets nice and warm from the beating of it. And then you slowly are going to add your flour plus mixture to it. And then, so then in the separate bowl, like I said, you have the flour, the cocoa, the cinnamon, and you just start whisking that together. So after you whisk that together, what you're going to do is you're going to take so you take some of this and you mix it into the bowl. But prior to mixing it into the bowl, you have to add in your 5 eggs, which are room temperature, one at a time. Once you get all that in there, then you start scooping this in. Now, I was doing it like a couple of spoonfuls at a time because the dry ingredients adding to the wet does cause a lot of the dry ingredients to splatter around. So you got to be really on slow to make sure you don't lose any of this. And then you start mixing it in a little bit at a time until it gets to all of it gets combined. You're not folding it in, you're actually combining it. So you're doing some work here. And I think this is where I may have added a little bit too much air to it. Didn't change the consistency that much of it, but I think it's just if I was actually using a bread maker, it may have worked out a little bit better. So you get it all incorporated, and then you wind up going to the next step, which I'm going to show you here in a second. The next step, or actually what you do is you would then put it into your loaf pans. Now, I was told this made 2 loaves, but I actually got 3 out of it, and the third one was smaller. But if I would have stayed with 2, they would have been overflowing the loaf pan. So I may have gotten the size wrong. I went with a 9 by 5 by 3 loaf pan. So, but it turned out well. So what you do next now is once you have them in the loaf pans, then you need to sprinkle something on top. So what you sprinkle on top is this, which is a combination of a little bit of sugar, a little bit of turbinado sugar or brown sugar if you don't have turbinado. Then you also added some cinnamon. You added some cloves, ground cloves, and you also added in some ground ginger. And I think this is what really brings back memories of this bread for me is the taste of the ground ginger really kicks this up a notch for me. And yes, I'm not Emeril Lagasse, but it does kick it up for me, and I think it winds up making it a really, really fantastic tasting. So you put all this together and you whisk it together, and then you sprinkle it on top. And for me, I sprinkled it on top of 3 loaves. So, but it was still a large amount. I could have always used less, but I think it turned out really perfect. So then you put it in the oven. Okay, so here I show you what's two of the loaves that made it out. So the one on the left is the smaller one I spoke about, and then the one of the average size ones or the regular size ones was on the right. So you put it into a preheated oven at 350 for about 50 minutes. The one on the left, because it was smaller, I went about 40 minutes and it was perfect. The one on the right, of course, because my oven likes to do whatever it does, I had to go a little bit longer than 50 minutes. I went almost an hour on it, but you want to make sure that you can put a toothpick in there and it comes out clean. So it took that long for me to do it. So once I got these two out, the other one comes out a little bit later, so I only show these two. But you notice that it looks dry on top, but it's not dry. What it is that sugar, ginger mix that with the cocoa as well, mix that I put on top. And so it makes almost like a little crust, but not quite. So it's not that hard, but really makes it fantastic tasting. Chocolate through and through. And if you have an opportunity, look it up, cinnamon chocolate bread like Starbucks, and you will get something that is really fantastic. I'd say I was probably 95, 96% accurate on making this, and from what I remember from memory by taste alone. So if you have an opportunity and you want to do it maybe next time for the holidays or even for your next occasion, I highly recommend this. Okay, that was the cinnamon chocolate bread. So now, as I mentioned throughout the show already, yesterday, January 25th, was our black beer tasting party. So a smaller group this time, only about 7 of us, but it was still really good. There was, I'm sorry, 6 of us, but we had 9 entries, so that is fantastic. So I'm going to take you through. I think I got pictures of almost all of the entries, but I will talk about all of them while doing a voiceover as I normally do. And by the way, if you'd like to see a different setup for when I do the spirit times or when I do the tasting party, setup as how you would like me to run it so you can see more, please let me know. If you would like to participate in a tasting party and you live in the Cedar Park, Austin area, please let me know as well, and I can get you on the invite. I do this almost once a month, and it comes out really good. And like I said, sometimes there's smaller groups like the 6 of us yesterday, and then sometimes I've gone as high as maybe 25, 30 people. And so it really depends on the time of year, the theme, and whether everybody has they have a free Saturday that they can come up. So if interested, please let me know. If you've been here before, come on back. I'd love to see you. And I'd love to get your opinion on some of these. We are all judges in real life, and we are all judges of this, of which is the best that's brought to the party. And it just so happens it was black beer this time. So I know a lot of people may not be up for black beer, but we had enough people here and we had 9 entries like I talked about. So let's go and check it out. Okay, so first up was from Odell Brewing. This was Old Dudes, a stout that was recommended to me by my good friend Scott out at the Boutique. Again, not being sponsored by them. And it was fantastic until we got to the winning one. This was gonna be the winner. I was really proud about submitting this on my behalf. And Old Dudes, it was perfect. It was the right amount of stout taste to it with the right amount of dark to it and chocolate, and not too sweet and not overpowering, and everybody absolutely loved it. Now, unfortunately, my second entry, which was the can on the right, called just Black IPA, which was an American Black India Pale Ale by 512 Brewing. I personally liked it because I like IPAs, but unfortunately, most of the people in the group did not like it. And as opposed to the flavor of stouts and porters and ales that we had, other ales, this was put to shame, unfortunately. So it got no votes and got trashed throughout some of the night. So 512, if you're listening, I apologize. I liked it, but others did not. Now, to the left of it was the third entry, which was, excuse me, a black metal stout submitted by our own Greg, and it was really good. This was a 12% ABV, one of the highest ABVs of the night. Fantastic, really good. I think it came out even better, the fact because it was next to the black IPA. And this was an imperial stout, so it was really good. Up next was by Nigel, who was unable to make it, but he did have a submission brought by Greg and Garrett anyway. This was a coffee porter by Real Ale Brewing. This was about 6% ABV, and it was actually very nice as far as coffee porters go. Sometimes they come a little bit heavy on the coffee, and then they also add in usually a lot of chocolate to it, so it comes overpowering on the beer itself. But this was a nice blend, and so it turned out really good. So way to go, Nigel. Unfortunately, this didn't get any votes, but still, it was a good porter overall. Next, we had Garrett's entry. This was Nitro Temptress. This is by Lakewood Brewing. Fantastic little beer. Of course, the nitro emphasizes what it was, which was a nitro one. This was a milk stout, an imperial milk stout. It was really good. I kind of think it tasted like toffee myself, which was fantastic. And I think that's the nitro aspect of the beer itself that brought about that extra taste. Or it could be that it was a milk stout, but it was overall it was a really good one. Again, unfortunately, it didn't get any votes because there wasn't a lot of people here. But if you have a chance, I highly recommend this one. I actually highly recommend all of them so far. Okay, and here is the winner of the evening. This is called Gulden Draak. Not sure, I'm assuming that it's Belgian, or it could be one of the languages from Babylon 5. Either way, this was a triple red ale, which poured black, or reddish black, I should say, and it was absolutely delicious. Now it's a pretty expensive bottle. It may come in cans that you can find, but even the 4 packs would still be kind of expensive. The bottle itself was pricey from what Memo told me. This was Memo's submission, by the way, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Everyone was floored and on how good it was, and in fact we all voted for this one. So congrats to Memo on this, and if you have a chance, Gulden Draak is really just fantastic. As always, as the evening goes along, I start forgetting to take photos as we're all having a good time. So here's a shot of most of the submissions. So you see Old Dudes on the far left, and then next to that was Nitro Temptress, which was number 5. Black IPA was the second submission. Black Metal Stout was number 3 as far as submission goes. And then right there is the last one, which was a Kentucky bourbon or barrel aged milk stout that Corey submitted, which was really good. Again, all these were really, really good. And then there's that coffee porter, which was number 4, Nigel's submission. And then at the far right was the New Belgium Brewing 1554, which is a black lager, which I had this for the first time probably 12, 13 years ago, and it is a really good lager. So overall, it was fantastic. What's not shown is Memo submission, his other submission, which was Negra Modelo, which was pretty good too, but it was tough to compare that, which is more of a streamlined brand of beer and type of beer compared to some of these guys because they're heavier, higher ABV, and they were all black pour. Now, of course, Negro Modelo says that it's black, but it's not as far as visual goes. It wasn't even in viscosity either, but still, it was a good to have it. So it was fantastic to see all the crew out here drinking black beer, having good time, having dark foods and brats and some of that cinnamon chocolate bread, and it was just a fantastic night that was by everyone. And there you have it, everyone. Fantastic black beer tasting being held here at Mikasa in Cedar Park. Black beer was the theme, and we held to it pretty good. Like I said, even though Negro Modelo was not truly a black beer, we did hold it, and every single one of them was fantastic. We didn't, for me personally, there wasn't a bad beer in the bunch, so I was glad that we did it. So, as always, once we have finished our tasting and finished our judging, we decide what the next one is going to be. And so what we decided on was Italian wine, but no rosé, because we all hate rosé. I don't care either way, but there was a couple of very firm opinions in the crowd last night, and so it's Italian wines, no rosé. And so that will be the title of the next event. It's going to be held sometime in late February, probably the last Saturday before the end of the month. So again, if you're going to be in the Cedar Park area and you'd like to participate in our Italian wine, no rosé tasting, then please reach out to me and I can get you on the invite. Who knows what I'm going to cook there? I always try to cook something different and unique every time, and this time I think I nailed it. I also had some beer brats that I cut up and added with 3 different types of mustard for people to have, but those are just normal beer brats, and so it wasn't anything unique like the cinnamon chocolate bread. So I will. That's it for today. That's it for the show. Thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate it. If you have any question, comments, or concerns, please reach out. Remember, if you'd like to subscribe, you can click on my link on my YouTube channel, which is Javier In The Air. That's Javier In The Air. And if you don't see my face on it, it's probably not the right Javier In The Air. There is another one out there, believe it or not. Javier is not a strange name outside of the U.S. So also, if you would like to be on the show and partake in some of the tastings that we do throughout the year, or you have a mom and pop business you'd like me to get on the air, again, free of charge, or you'd like to participate by being a co-host for an episode or two, please let me know. I can set up my studio here so that we can get more of a podcast type environment going. So I've reached past my normal 30 minutes. I apologize to you for that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy your week, and I will see you again in 2 weeks. Thanks a lot, everyone.